Judge Thomas J. Devine, the Runaway Enslaver. After the Civil War, Thomas J. Devine fled to Mexico to avoid being arrested by Union forces, as he was declared one of the most treasonous individuals by the government alongside Confederate leader Jefferson Davis. However, Mexicans began expelling Confederates from their country due to their support of the French invasion of Mexico, forcing Devine to return to the United States. And upon his return, he was arrested and imprisoned in the Fort Jackson barracks in New Orleans, Louisiana. After suffering from pneumonia, he was released on parole in January of 1866 under the condition that he remain in the country. He was twice indicted for high treason. Devine was one of only 3 individuals charged with treason during the war, alongside Confederate President Jefferson Davis. Despite his indictments, he was never tried and was ultimately pardoned with his citizenship restored on June 17, 1867. Judge Thomas J. Devine of San Antonio was born in Halifax, Nova Scotia on February 28, 1820, to Irish parents. He received his early education in Tallahassee, Florida, before studying law for 3 years at Transylvania University in Lexington, Kentucky. He graduated in 1843 in the same class as Frank Blair and James B. Clay. After obtaining his law license from the Supreme Court of Kentucky, he moved to Texas, initially settling in LaGrange before relocating to San Antonio, where he remained for the rest of his life. Devine quickly rose to prominence in Texas's legal and political circles. He served as San Antonio's city attorney from 1844 to 1851 before resigning to run for district judge, a position he won and was re-elected to in 1856. With strong Confederate sympathies, he played a crucial role in Texas's secession. He served as a delegate to the Secession Convention and served on the Committee of Public Safety. In 1861, he was one of the committeemen who demanded of and received from General Twiggs of the United States Army the surrender of government arms and ammunition and the removal of federal troops from Texas. This confiscation of U.S. military assets was so significant that President Abraham Lincoln indirectly referred to it in his first inaugural address on March 4, 1861, stating, "The power confided to me will be used to hold, occupy, and possess the property and places belonging to the government." Following Texas's secession, Devine was appointed Confederate States Judge for the Western District of Texas. In 1863, at the request of General E. Kirby Smith, he traveled to Mexico to persuade the Mexican government to cooperate with the Confederacy. He became known as one of the most effective judges and diplomats serving the Confederate cause. In November 1844, he married Helen Ann Elder of LaGrange, and after the end of Reconstruction, Devine was appointed Associate Justice of the Texas Supreme Court, but he later resigned, in part due to his wife's declining health. Their son, Colonel Albert E. Devine, served as a captain in the 1st Texas Infantry, United States Volunteers, during the Spanish-American War, and later became Quartermaster General of Texas, with his office being in the Texas capital in Austin. The Devine family was a powerful and influential name in 19th century Texas, particularly in San Antonio. Several members of the family, including Gregory Devine, Helen Ann Devine, J. M. Devine, who served multiple terms as mayor of San Antonio, and Thomas J. Devine, held prominent positions in politics and law. Thomas J. Devine, a judge and attorney, played a significant role in shaping the legal landscape of Texas and was honored with a town, Devine, Texas, named after him due to his involvement in railroad expansion. However, like many wealthy and influential families of the time, the Devines also participated in slavery, using enslaved labor to build their wealth and status. Records indicate that members of the Devine family were actively engaged in the buying and selling of enslaved individuals in San Antonio and Bexar County. The Bexar County tax assessment records illustrate the rapid increase in Thomas J. Devine's wealth. In 1857, he was listed as a modest landholder with 1,280 acres. However, by 1861, his holdings had expanded to over 12,000 acres, due in part to his leading role in the Texas Confederacy. Enslaved individuals documented as being owned or traded by Thomas J. Devine include Columbus, age 23, purchased on December 4, 1855 for $1,200 from the estate of the deceased Simon W. Cooley. with the Devine given 12 months to fully pay the amount. Martha and her daughter Eliza, ages approximately 28 and 10, sold together in August of 1862 for $1,700. Nancy, approximately 14 years old, sold on February 5, 1856 for $700. Joseph, approximately 18 years old, sold on June 5, 1858 for $950. Phyllis, approximately 45 years old, along with her sons Alexander, 18 years old, and John, 7 years old, sold on March 26, 1859. George, approximately 28 years old, sold twice, once in March 1855 and again in March 1857 for $1,000. Beyond these named individuals, census records from 1850 and 1860 provide additional documentation of enslaved individuals linked to Thomas J. Devine. The records list a 32-year-old mixed-race man, a 20-year-old mixed-race woman, an 8-month-old mixed-race infant, likely her child. These individuals do not appear to have an associated bill of sale, suggesting they may have been obtained through other means not formally documented. Some enslaved people were meticulously recorded through bills of sale, while others were only noted in census records, making it difficult to fully trace their lives or their fates after emancipation. Among those with official bills of sale, George's transaction is particularly well documented. He was sold by Thomas J. Devine through his attorney, J. P. Devine, to W. White for $1,000. The bill of sale, dated March 13, 1857, is recorded in Bexar County's official documents. The sale explicitly states that George was being sold as a slave for life, with a warranty ensuring his legal status as property. Thomas J. Devine's legacy is inseparable from his participation in slavery. He was not only an enslaver, but also a facilitator in the buying and selling of human beings, contributing to the systematic oppression that defined the antebellum South. His legal and political career, while including his seat on the Texas Supreme Court, cannot erase the fact that his wealth and status were built, in part, on the exploitation of enslaved individuals. His story serves as a reminder that beyond every transaction and every census record were real people, families torn apart, lives controlled, and futures dictated by forces beyond their control.